That was interesting. All right. Well, we're now live, and I was live a couple of moments ago, just not very successfully. I love technology sometimes, I really do. Hey, welcome to the Windy J D&D Guild. We are on a fireside chat at the moment because our regular schedule for the day to day could not quite happen because we had a number of players who were, um, uh, let's just say, life got in the way. I think that's kind of the thing I'm seeing a little bit is that there's just a lot going on for a lot of people right now, and um, can't use the link. It's not working. Oh, there's a message from Dak. He wants to jump in. Then I'm gonna say use the random adventures link instead. Then because it should still work. It should still work for those of you guys who are part of the um, craziness that is the Windy J D&D Guild. And if you want to get involved in the guild, we have our Discord. It is increasing ever so slightly in activity, and it is doing so because we have a number of things going down. We've got um, we on Tuesdays we have our Wild Beyond the Witchlight campaign that's happening, and we'll actually be introducing some new players in that campaign as well. Um, Normally on Thursdays we have Windy J's Random Adventures, and the in the Windy J's Random Adventures we have basically what we do is we just pick up the dice, roll it, and that's what tells us which adventure we're going to even do. So we usually roll for Yawning Portal, Candlekeep, Journeys through the Radiant Citadel, Adventures League, which was actually the first one we did, was a Season 6 Adventures League thing. The last roll was really well timed, actually. It's like the universe was saying, we kind of really ought to do um, some other thing, or some stuff from Roll20. And joining the line right now, I've got Dak, so I'm going to put Dak up here too. How's it going, my man? Oh, that's all good. I'm glad you're running it though. I appreciate that because it does actually help quite a bit. Um, I gotta put you. I'm just gonna put you into the stream right now. I'm so for those of you who are just checking in, I'm just being joined by Dak, and Dak is also another dungeon master that we have kicking around here right now. Dungeon master. So well, on on occasions, right? Let's get you into this lovely thing here, shall we? We're gonna go like that, and we're gonna go like you are in scene. There we go. Hey, there we go. Now we can get you in to the world. I need to get your logo on here still. I'll find it in just a few moments, but let's let the world of Twitch see that you exist. Say hello there, Dak. There, you are on the stream now. Say hi, Dak.
Hi,
Yeah.
Doc.
Hi, Dak. Dak, I got to get you your logo on there.
Hi,
Right
Windy
now,
J.
how you doing?
Okay, I can only stay a few minutes because I've got to take my brother to the doctors.
Oh, that's all right. And you know what? Today was that like you were one of the ones who was going to be doing the random adventures, and like I said, life finds its own ways of deciding what it's going to do. Really, when it comes down to it, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
There we go. That's the right logo for you, Dak. That's the right logo. Yay.
All
Okay.
right.
Yeah. So, you were actually up here right now. So, it may as well. One of the things I wanted to talk a little bit about today was that whole critical attacks thing.
Yeah.
Um, because that's a brilliant idea. Um, and I guess the question is, what do you think actually critical attacks are, right? Because you brought that up. So,
Yeah. They should be over and above the norm. That's why I did that thing. It's like what happened was I was playing in one of Abby's game and one off, which was brilliant. She was great. She was really great. I had a
right
lot of
on.
fun in it. Yeah. There's a guy there. I don't know what country he's from, but it's one of those things, when you watch a comedy program and you can't remember anything anyone said because you were laughing so much. Half the time I was just laughing because this guy was so funny.
Oh, that's awesome. And so
Scandinavian, Germanic type place, I think, Central Europe
I'm gonna have to go
accent.
find that.
It was fun. It was
Any
really good fun.
now
It was all in
now
game type thing, he dragged you into it. So, and one of the things that happened was, I rolled terribly that night. I was playing a sorcerer, so I had a quarterstaff, hit somebody, critical, great, 1 point of damage. What's your crit?
Oh.
1 damage.
Yeah.
Well,
Which,
I think, and then you think, all the days I played a 5th edition, I think that's the first time it's happened to me. Where my
really?
critical, or I noticed, because it was such a low 2 damage was so low, I thought, wait, that isn't.
Oh, there's a follow. That came from Trifunctional. Trifunctional, glad to have you here. Thank you very much. Feel free to jump in the chat and join in the craziness that is this, by the way, too, guys. Yeah, it's a talk show, Sky Guy. Good to see you in here. It's going well. But yeah, so I think you're very lucky then, Dak, to say that that you've only ever gotten a crit and rolled on a 1 on the damage dice once that you notice. Because I get it all the damn
That
time.
probably happened before, but I didn't. Just for that reason, I thought, wait a sec, that's just
so
practically 3/4 of every attack I do on average is going to be better than that.
right. Yeah. So I had a challenge with my first ever campaign character, first ever character. Sky Guy knows this character. His name is Harbeck, but he happened to be also in a live game instead of the text game that Sky Guy and I were playing together. But Harbeck had this challenge of being a level 1 player, which never mind. But when he was in trying to sneak about this person's house to get some sort of artifact. I can't remember exactly the deal. Doesn't matter. But when he was in there, the old lady who ran the house stumbled upon Harbeck, not the rest of the group, just Harbeck. Now, Harbeck is a wizard, so he's squishy enough as it is. And she was smacking him with her slipper and critical hitting him with her slipper. And Harbeck couldn't roll higher than a 5 to save his life until he said, okay, enough. I'm going to fine. I'm just going to shocking grasp this lady to try to get rid of her. It's a commoner. I killed her outright because I rolled a crit. So sometimes it's not a good thing. Sometimes it's a great thing. But your suggestion was why double the dice? Why don't take just max damage on max damage for one of the dice immediately, and then whatever the one roll is, just add that to the top. So like if you're working with a short sword, which your brain is telling me properly it's a d6, then it would be a 6 plus 1 dice. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah. So every attack you have will be above your maximum damage, even by 1 point, say. Well, that's just critical then. It should be about, I think a crit should be over and above that maximum damage that you can do in a round.
I wonder about it because critical attacks, there's 2 different ways you could look at it. You could look at it like, yeah, it should be more damage because I smacked them hard. But the other way is maybe a critical attack is just you happen to find a critical spot on them. It's like for me, if it was in my situation, you do a critical hit, you roll a 1 on the damage dice. I, as the DM, am probably going to say that little spot is the spot to hit and give you a little hint into the vulnerabilities of your enemy, if there is one, if there are any. That might be the way I compensate for that. But I'm also thinking like, you could say, I got a good shot on the carotid. He's gonna normally, if I actually did it properly, like if I hit the carotid properly, it would gush out and stuff. But if you only nick it, it's still a critical hit, but it was only a nick hit. I don't know. I'm trying to argue back to the rules as written, but I actually don't believe it. I actually kind of like yours better.
Because then we could go back to our first edition where they didn't have just the cure spell. It was cure light wounds, cure serious wounds, cure critical wounds.
Yeah, right.
So that damage that the die you rolled, So a crit was like, I can't remember how much cured. I think it was a 3d8 plus 3, something like that.
Well, and then critical success is
27 damage.
Yeah,
but it was seen differently then anyway, I guess.
Well, and then once you have the sneak attacks for rogues, and you're automatically gonna add the full sneak attack dice plus 1 more because it doubles all of the dice, right? That's when you start thinking, okay, is this starting to get a little bit on the OP side? That would be the part that I would be concerned about. That it kind of takes away a little bit of the. I don't know. I'm also a chaos monkey. I don't mind having a little bit of everything. So
yeah, I did that in that Ravnica game, Chaos Monkey. Just saying that, just a little side. When I put I I just put gunpowder weapons in, but they have a thing from second edition, their firearms, where they have exploding dice. So if you roll a 6, you roll it again. If you roll it again, you roll a 6, you roll it again.
Yeah.
So infinite amount of damage you can do with a firearm effectively, you know.
Yeah,
And
I
I
did.
didn't care. I just threw that in because I thought it'd be nice, interesting.
Well, I kept on
Chaos.
going. I played that in a game. It's not D&D. It was Legend of the Five Rings, and of course they do explode the dice there too.
Yeah.
And as I was already a little bit of a powerful character with that game as it was anyway, because I had a horse, and that meant as a samurai in that game, you basically were a tank. And I'm not a tanky person as a player. I like to play wizards and sorcerers, but I'm not gonna lie, I didn't mind tanking her just a bit. Um, but every time I would roll these exploding, and it was D10s. I would roll these exploding D10s and just get success after success after success, and it would be darn near impossible to deal with the damn horse that I was riding. But so that like the whole exploding thing. I think the other part of it is the conversation comes up more and more right now because one D&D, and they're talking about how they deal with critical ability
Yeah.
checks and critical skill checks, not critical attacks. Right, critical attacks. I think I've actually convinced myself over the past couple of days after reading what everybody was writing in the Discord. I think I'm going to do what you just suggested. I think I'm actually going to take that as my table's new rule. That when you have a critical, you take max damage on one dice, and then whatever your other dice is what you get over and above it. But I'm
Like with
only going to do it on the weapon damage. I don't think I'm going to do
with a
it on
sneak
everything
attack,
else.
it's just the weapon, isn't it? Because then,
Yeah,
like I say, if it's maxed out, you will do at least 1 point more than without a crit, if you know what I
yeah.
mean, the maximum.
So I have to watch my ninth level rogues who, when they roll their dice, they roll like it sounds like a waterfall hitting the table. So I'm gonna that one's gonna be a little bit trickier. I'll have to work with them on that, but I do actually
I have
like
a
it.
macro like that rolls your saving throws, but it rolls like the disadvantage and advantage, so it rolls 12 die 20
Oh, good
every time
heavens!
it's macro. And then so it just sounds like a waterfall, and the screen's covered in die 20s on roll 20.
Oh yeah, because and not everybody who plays at my table do they actually use the whole 3D animated dice. I think it might be because of bandwidth or something like that, which is perfectly fine,
Yeah, it's like
whatever.
when I
But
was
it's so much
DMing it was
fun.
slowing me down greatly.
Yeah, but if you got a computer that can handle it, it adds. It definitely adds. And then when you have 12 D4s or 12 D8s going across the screen, it's just funny. And then you have to do something to clear the screen off so you can actually see everything. But it's worth it. I don't know. I love this sound. This is one of my happy sounds right here. It's just one of my happy sounds. That's all there is to it. So if I can get them to roll the dice, I'm gonna get them to roll the dice.
Good old random rolling dice in the background to make people.
Yeah.
Tabletop. It's not that tip, isn't it? Just randomly roll dice. And
Yeah,
then they just randomly rolling them. It doesn't mean anything. And then
And
just send something awful upon them.
And I'm finding that I'm rolling dice when I'm teaching now too. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do, guys. Am I gonna start off with by playing this piece of music in my band class, or I'm gonna play this piece of music? Dice is gonna decide, and it's just look at what D&D has done to me.
Ginger Sheldon Cooper.
Oh gosh.
It's in the episode where he rolls everything, doesn't he? So
He does.
He rolls a dice randomly. He's going to live his life like chaos by rolling dice for everything.
And then just goes off on a train or something like that. If I remember that story, yeah, that is my life now, and I'm not gonna. So in the chat we have Sky, we have Trifunctional, and Sky was Sky is got a bit of a challenge in that he is his character died in the Olivos campaign. Ooh, my music got really strong there for a second there. But yeah, we get to this lovely challenge here where he might have to roll out a new character. So he rolled some ability stats, and I don't know if anybody else, I think he did it only in one of the Olivos channels, but one of the stats rolls that he did, you roll 4 dice, you keep 3. He rolled a 1, a 1, a 1, and a 2. It is by far the worst stats roll I have ever seen. and he might have to put that into a new character who shall remain nameless until we actually decide we're actually going to do it. But
Sounds like going to be a charisma dump for that one.
that's what he said too, is he's going to dump it into charisma. This guy's not going to even know when somebody around him is being funny. Like, he's just going to be the most stoic bastard that exists, I'm sure. But I have no idea what to expect from that. But yeah, that's, and I guess that begs the question: how do you deal with um, really shitty stat rolls? What do you do as a DM deck?
I'll let somebody roll it again.
Yeah.
Basically, like the whole thing. Like that was that for that character. Now roll a new character.
There you
almost.
go. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a great way of arguing it too. So wonderful. Keep those statistics for that character, but let's make a new one.
Take those stats and use them as an NPC.
Well, there's an idea. That's a lovely idea. I like that idea. What I usually do for my players is I say, and it's something that the guild knows, is when you roll your stats, if you don't like them, your option is standard array. And so I get some people who have like 3 16s and 17s or something like that, and then everything else is sub 10, and they hate that. And so they just end, even though they had 3 really great rolls, they end up switching over to standard array. So it gives them kind of a baseline that they're definitely going to get. So, Sky, I'll extend that again as always.
See, you asked me what I do as a DM, but as personally, I would keep them.
Yeah.
One of the best characters I ever rolled was a wizard in a magic user in first edition. I think his highest stat, it was either 11 or 13.
Oh, wow.
And then it's like, so let's say it was 13, that obviously goes into his intelligence. But in first edition, I don't know if you've ever played it, but you have to roll for each spell.
Yes.
So the chances to no roll, and it was like 45%. And it's the only time I've ever, and if you went through the whole spell list and didn't meet your minimum, you could roll through it again. It's the only character I've ever done where he rolled every spell and didn't meet the minimum. And because his intelligence was so low, the minimum was like 5 or 6.
Well, it's kind of important to have intelligence
like
as a wizard.
The stupidest mage that's ever lived.
Oh my gosh.
It was like such a great character to play because of that.
And
everybody else, almost the whole party was more intelligent than him.
And I am a big fan of the role play. So so oftentimes that's what I'll do too, is if I have one really bad stat or even 6 really bad rolls, it's going to be hard to convince me to still not play that character, because I love the stupid shit that comes from people who don't have high intelligences or can't see for shit because they got low wisdom, right? I love playing those characters. So again, another role play kind of thing. Trifunctional asks, how do you feel about re-rolling ones when rolling stats? I'm not a fan of re-rolling ones for any other reason than hit dice when you are leveling up. And that's largely because, first of all, when you're leveling up and you roll a 1, it's no fun. It sucks the wind right out of you, because you're so looking forward to, not being as squishy as you were before. I'll still take a 2, but I won't take a 1. And Sky isn't actually even certain. So while he has this really nasty 4 that he's dumped into charisma, he still has some other really great rolls like 10, 12, 14, 15, 16. So like it's a pretty decently laid out character, and that's not without that's still without all the racial bonuses and class bonuses that you get too, right? So he's going to be okay.
Use it to reflect a pre-game sort of injury or something.
It could be, yeah.
When you put it into like your wisdom, it was like you had some sort of like fractured skull at some point in your life, and it's like left you a bit, wonky, so to speak.
Well, and I had one friend who has a great deal of interaction with those who sit on the autism spectrum, and actually a friend of mine who in past who they don't call it Asperger's anymore, but it was basically a high functioning autism. And if you put it all into charisma, your experiences with people who have had autism sometimes can inform that. The risk that you have with doing that, of course, is trivializing it, right? So, but one person or one thing that I can think of is somebody who doesn't know how to interact with other people. That's what would happen if you don't have charisma stats. And there's an awful lot of that kind of inspiration that can come from that. So, okay, so he's saying, so first of all, he is saying, the guy is saying that he is dangerously close to wanting to play this new character, but Bob Moss isn't really dead yet. Or, well, he's fully dead, but his revival, there is still a revival possibility.
He's not dead yet. Boom.
Yeah.
Sixpence.
And yeah, the character does have a chance of being revived. So,
Does he?
well, I'm not gonna lie, it's a razor thin chance, but there is still a chance. So we have to
I
play.
have a problem with that sort of thing. That last game I played in the Saltmarsh campaign, you know, I kind of fudged a roll for Fling, and then the next minute, like, Potter's down and Carney's down, and I felt, and it's like, oh no, I just fudged a roll for Fling. I really should do it for them. But if I hadn't, it would have been a TPK. I mean, without a doubt.
Well, and
maybe
that's
his character might have got away, but he would have had to run for it, you know.
Yeah. Well,
I put myself in a real bind by doing that, by letting him off the hook, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Then he said, but afterwards they were speaking like, oh, let's go to a port and find a precinct. We got the cash, we got the gem, a diamond. We can resurrect them or raise them, whichever one, you know.
But
nobody bothered to ask the question. It's like, I was talking to my brother about it. It's like, you wouldn't turn up at the Vatican and say, can we speak to the Pope, please? Because we need a raised head spell for me, mate. We've got a diamond to pay for it.
Right.
And that might, in my world, be the level you're talking at, you know.
Yeah, that you're totally right.
Because my world came from first edition, you're going to be the strongest, cleverest. You're the heroes of this world when you're in my game. You're not going to find people as good as you, so to speak, except the odd oppositional person.
That's exactly it, right?
Guys. But 99.999% of the people in my world don't have a level. They're commoners. They have nothing. People with spells are exceptionally... I try to play it like nobody's seen a spell cast. Majority of people have never seen a spell cast in my world, you know. It's like... Right,
and that's what I like about Saladin.
Magic there. It's just so dispersed that your average person doesn't see it.
Yeah, and that's what I like about your
Well, they might see go to priests and not realize they're casting spells. That's, you know, it's more like divine favor from the gods. It's not like this guy's like doing. It's like a ritual thing. You go in and then you're cured. The god did it.
Well, and
so magic users casting spells in the street. So it was that thing like, oh, I don't know where to go with this because it feels like I'm just punishing the players all the time.
Except that you're not, because you're being true to your world, right?
Yeah, but the nearest port to them was occupied by a foreign country to face sail in. It's like an Islamic world below this one. It's like a Western medieval European, French, English, Agincourt, Crusher, you know, 100 Years War type world.
Right.
Below it's very Arabic from Al-Qadim, if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
Forgotten Realms. Saqqara.
Right.
Put me on the spin on it and everything else, you know, obviously.
But
and there's a lot of trade between the two, but they occupy part of this country at the moment. I mean, they've occupied part of theirs, like the Crusades, and you know. So I've mimicked history a little bit, world history.
Well, and the thing when you do that,
like, oh God, how are they going to go into this port that's occupied? You know, there's not galleys in there, there's sandbooks and zabaks and things. You know, like.
Well, and I think the thing that players who this is the one thing I feel like I risk when I play stuff online, because you can't have that regular connection with the people in at the table, is they don't know what to have. Like there seems to be this expectation that there's going to be a success, because how else are you going to keep me at your table online? And I struggle with that, because in a world like yours, which is super low magic, there's like nobody does it. They're having players who have this expectation that they're gonna be revived. Oofta. And even in mine, where there is quite a bit more magic wielding that happens, like there's a whole mageocracy that happens. That's when we get to places where, like, okay, how much do I want to make this a possibility? I don't know that I do, and so I have to think about it narratively. Is it actually going to fit the story? If it doesn't fit the story, they can't do it. Like if it doesn't fit the setting, if there's no, as you say, no pope that is willing to just accept everybody coming into the Vatican, then is this going to be normal? And so I'm like, you have to consequence them for sure. You absolutely have to consequence them, but you also want them to come back to the table.
just an aside though, I complicated my religions because in D&D, what? Excuse me. There's like one religion in a sense, isn't there? It's like this is how we view the world. It's the outer realms, 16 planes, you know,
Yeah, and different
and
models of it, but yeah.
each with a different alignment. Hell, heaven, the neutral law of chaos on the sides type thing. But my model isn't like that. And what I've also done is there's at least, I mean, there's lots of religions on my planet. Because like I said, I've got an Islamic one. It's got a slightly different religion to the north, and the southern people worship different gods.
Mm-hmm.
But in the north, they have two distinct religions that worship the same gods, but have different beliefs about them. So one's very much like, one's got like heaven, the earth, hell.
Right.
But the other one's got like the earth in the middle, and then you've got the planes of good and evil, law and chaos. Priests of law and priests of chaos.
And so they're probably at war with each other to a certain extent.
And that's one religion. That's called the Pentagari. And the other religion, I can't remember. I can't remember what name I chose for that recently. But also with them, they're splintering away because there's a god called Ul, who's the creator god of my world. And there's a bunch of like fanatics that have just decided just to worship him, and that's it. So there's monotheism is beginning slowly to take part in my world. And all that comes to a head. With my world, I've done different things where this is like the medieval age, and there's a gunpowder age after this, where gunpowder weapons come in.
Okay, yeah.
And in that's when religion really takes force. So you've got like pantheism against monotheism in that. Like trying to mirror like the 30 Years' War between Protestants and Catholics and like the 1700, that period of turmoil.
With
a bunch of people believe in all the gods. Just this one say, no, if he created everything, he created all the gods. So he's like the only one worth worshipping.
It's a little culty.
That's when the dwarves come into their fore because they invent cannons and gunpowder.
Huh. In
my world, the elves have had their day. It's the day of the humans now, but the dwarves have yet to come.
Oh wow, I like it. I don't mind that idea too much.
Isn't it weird talking about this though when people are just stuck in the Middle Ages and they don't realise I've actually plotted like thousands of years into the future. I've got history thousands of years into the future as well.
Right, and that's something I'm still trying to figure out. Like I'm very unfortunately in all of those, I have to admit it, I'm still very much on in this 80-year bubble of the present day in my world's lore. I need to get. Well, I'm not sure if I need to get forward yet. I'll get there eventually, perhaps, but I certainly need to go back in time. And there's only a few, basically cataclysmic things that I have had in the back of my head as things that have happened in the past, but nothing that has really. The only thing that I've been able to fully determine is that the dwarves did have their day actually in the past, but in Olivos, but there's very little evidence of it now. And so it gets tricky. I mean, there's a little bit of a safety net as the homebrew world builder saying, actually, nobody knows the history right now because neither does the DM. So
everyone's gonna fail that history roll.
Exactly, right. So it gets.
The only problem is when you do these right. People ask me. I have a lot of history, but also it evolves all the time as your players ask you questions. In my game, totally. People ask you a question, and so it's like you have to write it down, and then seriously, because it's like a marker in your game.
Oh, and there's
my history. I should say my passions are science and nature, and documentaries and history. I watch a lot of history programs. I've read a lot of history books. I'm into like marine biology. How Earth sciences, how the Earth was formed, how it functions, astronomy, how the universe, paleontology.
Awesome.
So all about learning about the past and how the planet got here and how it formed and all those things. They've been invaluable to create a D&D world.
Nice.
The only problem is when you mirror Earth's history to something, like I've got the Copper Age, the Bronze Age, I've got Stone Age as well. If I'm playing the Stone Age before people have evolved into elves, it's like medium hominids and small hominids.
Oh, okay, yeah, because like Homo florensis and such, right?
Fighting the lizard folk. And all these came out from various modules that you think, oh wow, that'd be a great module to play in the early Stone Age.
Well, and that's I guess that's the greatest luxury is you get to bring some of the best of you into it. I actually been watching a lot of other home brewers like Winter's Tale and Mindari just to kind of get some really good starting points for great questions for how to build a world, right?
Yeah,
And it's interesting to see all the different perspectives because I'll be honest, I hadn't actually considered a lot of the things that are now in my world without having watched other DMs do it. And so here, like the paleontology side of thing, I get that part because I definitely link a little bit to that. I'm actually a big astronomy kind of person too, but I'm a culture guy. So everything that I started with the cultures. I kept on forgetting that. Wait a second, the plate tectonics might have actually had an impact on that. So, right? And then as you kind of start looking at your world, like, oh, wait a second, that the way that actually happened I can explain that by way of saying, hey, this mountain range is here now because, or something, or this massive chasm that happens to be an opening to the Underdark is because. And that's kind of neat to be able to get all of those different backgrounds in there. And then all your players come to the table. They have their own ideas. They have their own experiences and knowledge from the real world that they throw into their characters. Like, oh shit, now I definitely have to figure out a place to put that. And it makes your world so amazing for yourself.
yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Well, I had a go like this thing years ago. I saw some DM talking about this, saying never invite your girlfriend to a game, and it really like, you know, because
Really?
when I started playing, yeah, I had a girlfriend and nobody wanted to play, so they like basically killed me off from the party, so I couldn't play with my girl. You know, that wasn't a question anymore.
Oh wow.
And I became a DM after that, and well, obviously she wanted to she wanted to play. She's
Right.
really into Arthurian mythology and things like that. She loved Arthur and all that stuff.
Okay.
And what she brought to my game is just phenomenal. Still today, I would say I don't really like backgrounds. You know, you can put a background in. I might use it, I might not. But her backgrounds, way back in like 83, 82, 83, 84, sorry, were just phenomenal. I've still got them now. She'd have whole family trees and all this stuff. And then
Oh,
you'd have
that's
to like incorporate it into
fantastic.
your game. And lots of the lore about the dwarves in my game comes from like her. And she'd always ask me things about the game world. So I had to develop a history because that's what she loved the
Huh.
most, was like exploring the world and having this history. And so my game's heavily influenced by Arthur, Gallic mythology and Arthur and those sort of things.
Nice.
Um,
The
like I say, but it was the player bringing this stuff forward. And also the Islamic world came about. It started off, my first campaign started off a one-off game on an island. Then it became a land, then it became a continent. And because of the modules I was running, I realized there was a desert to the north. So that suggested like we're really in the south of the world in a sense, you know,
right.
like below the Sahara almost, or because you're traveling north to a desert, which would be like subtropical equatorial type places.
But
And then
from
because of the
her,
pictures she'd drawn of the dwarves and everything else, it was just Islamic
huh,
influenced. And that's before Al Qadim came out. That just happened to be, wow, this fits this thing we'd created so well.
that's
And it's just the way it was. My first campaign was basically an Islamic type campaign because it evolved into that because the pictures, because she was an artist, she could have drawn comic books. She was that good.
huh. That's
And
awesome though because
she drew pictures of the characters and things like that. It was great, you know, but they all had this strange feel to it. And she'd been copying out of books from Babylon and things like that. So her father was into like history and these books about Babylon that showed how artist's impression of Babylon. So she drew that as this capital city of the place. So it just became an Islamic, what's the best word for it? Tales of the Arabian Nights, really, more than
okay.
Islamic. You know, we weren't trying to, like the Northern world, my world isn't Christian. This wasn't Islamic. But it was influenced by those sort of stories of flying carpets and people, you know, turbans and fezzes and scimitars. And then Al Qadim came out. It was what a fit for it, you know.
Huh.
It just
That's perfect. You know, yeah, you said don't play with your girlfriends, and I gotta say, if I never played with my better half, if I never played with my better half, or played with my better half, I wouldn't learn my characters very well. She's She might not get a whole lot into the backstory, but I tell you what, she's got role play down. She doesn't believe she's got role play down, but she's got role play down. So people who are in my Olivos campaign, you guys will recognize the name Meepo. So Meepo, when we first started the Olivos game, they were in this goblin slash kobold infested sunken citadel, and Meepo was this NPC that the party ended up falling in love with by accident. He the Meepo character, he drank from a fountain that produced a potion of fire breath, and so Meepo himself, this little itty bitty kobold, basically flame bursting all of the giant rats around him. And then one of the playing characters tosses Meepo into the next room saying, "You've got this, you got fire breath," and the fire breath ran out. And so Meepo became basically stain on the bottom of the dungeon floor. And then the further jokes ensued of, the goblins like jerky. Oh dear, I've learned it's kobold jerky. Oh no, they're eating Meepo. And it's just, So my better half in my real life campaign, without any connection whatsoever to the online game that I've got, decided that she was going to play a kobold named Meepo. And since then, thankfully, her character is not to be taken too seriously because I just can't, because of what happened at my online table. Same kobolds named Meepo are apparently some of the funnest characters that exist, whether they're non-player characters or real characters. And it's all, for me, the better half brings out that role play element, and that's where her strength is, and I love it.
When you said you're having this talk, one of the things I was going to mention, thinking about all sort of things that might come up, is Meepo specifically as a tip to dungeon masters, and it's because I played in a game with me. I played that game as a one-off on Roll20 with some other people, Meepo, and every dungeon master does this, and it's like, how does Meepo speak?
Oh yeah, mine was.
And my tip to dungeon masters is, because it's the dungeon master, not yourself, Windy J, but the other dungeon master in the game I played. He had such a strange, high-pitched Meepo voice.
That was my voice.
It was real strange to keep doing it. Because he joined the party, and week after week, it's like, don't make a rod for your own back when doing a voice. Make it a bit daft, but not too extreme, in case he becomes a recurring NPC.
That's hilarious.
Hard to determine at times, but the DM really made a rod for his own back with the voice he chose.
And I guess that's my biggest challenge with playing on-playing characters, is I can never remember the damned accent I chose, and I'm not good with them. I every time I think I'm doing like a southern drawl, I end up turning myself into something that sounds a little bit closer to like a British person, and I never get it right. I flip-flop somewhere along the way. I suddenly sound like I'm trying to make fun of Middle Eastern people, and I hate it. I hate the fact that I can't do accents.
That's where it goes.
Yeah.
And the same, if I try a Welsh accent or Scottish, any accent at all, it degenerates into kind of like a Pakistani type thing. If
Right.
you try to do Pakistani, you won't be able to do it. And you think, oh God, it's out in your own mind. It's like, oh no, it sounds so awful.
My worst accent that I've ever attempted was the Bronx accent. So from that community, I just can't do the Bronx, but I can do myself my Meepo. I can do my Meepo, no problem. It's so I'm going to shift gears just a little bit.
When you say that, one of the things when I DM'd, because it's been a while since I've done it, first few times I've done, I was laughing to myself because the voices I came out with. Where did that come from?
Oh man!
Just in the moment, you think.
Well, and actually,
I surprised myself. It was like.
The great characters that we get. So we have like in the Witchlight campaign, we have Carney. He's doing Buttons in your campaign is Scraggs in mine. His voice lends so well to the Scraggs personality. He does a really good job of it. And then every once in a while you get this little almost Australian feel coming out of Ender when he's playing his Erebus, his elf. When people try, I am never going to penalize somebody, even if they have a really, really bad version of the accent they're going for. Because let's be real, I'm going to have a really, really bad version of the accent I'm trying for. But it really does. It has two roles. One role, it allows you to get more deeply into the role play. Second role, it separates the character from the in real life person, which sometimes, like when you get really, really attached to a character, you sometimes have to have some.
Tell you in real time what they're
Right
saying.
there, is it getting back in? Is it getting back in? Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh boy. Oh, all of the boys.
Yeah, we're coming back. I'll have to go in a few minutes, Windy J, anyway, because got to get my brothers.
That's all right. So I apparently all of my internet stuff kind of decided to take a slight dip. So, what we will do until I can get the cameras back up, you guys are just watching the bumping logos, and that's not what I want you to see.
Hello, bumping logo.
Hello, bumping logos. So what I'm gonna do then is why don't we just say Dak will sign you off at the moment, and I'll see what I could do about fixing my cameras so that so that the world can see me again. But take care of you, and I guess we'll see you
One
next
question.
week when we're doing
We'll have
this
to get
random.
Spy Guy in here one day because I want to ask him what it's like playing in Dutch, but everything else is in English.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's weird when they say, like, speaking Dutch, sorcerer does, thinking, surely they got a word for sorcerer in Dutch, or I don't. Well, that's a bad example. They say some English words because they're from because they're on the D&D spreadsheet, so to speak.
right.
But I'm sure there's a Dutch word for soldier or warrior or something.
Well, there is, and
And it's how
but
did I mean? Because I can't speak any other language, can only speak English. So
well, I think a lot of that has to do with
I can't get
the
my head around it. It just seems so weird.
English is actually as a lot more common in the Netherlands than we think perhaps
Yeah.
sometimes. I'm going to disconnect real quick and see what I can do about solving this. So I think this is a really good time for a quick little intermission while I try to
Okay.
solve the world. And but we'll be back online here in just a couple seconds, guys. world. Sound check. There we go. Good lord, folks. I do not know what happened, but there was some nonsense for sure. So, looks to me like it's going to be just me for a little bit. Got there finally. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Anywho, I guess I can get going into some of the other things I was going to talk about there, guys. Sorry about that whole nonsense of the technology. I want to see if I can... we'll just have to go with this. A little bit less sound, a little bit less music, but such is the life, I suppose, I lead. So, hey, great conversation with Dak just a little bit ago about how DMs deal with things and such. I've also got some really awesome other things that are happening in my guild as well. And one of those happens to be trifunctional stuff. Trifunctional, I hope you're still in the chat. So if you are, just quickly jump in here. Because I've got your monk subclass up on my screen and I am ready to do the sharing. So I'm hopeful it'll be, it's not quite big on my screen yet, so I'll make it a bit bigger, but here, where's my zoom function? Let's zoom this guy like that. There we go. That's a little bit better. I think I could even go a bit bigger yet. So let's go a little bit bigger. There we go. Now we can totally see the things. But I'm gonna, and I'm gonna hang tight until I actually have trifunctional in the chat too, because this is his. This is what he created for this, for something for him. I'll go and read his messages, and while I'm pulling it up, I have great kids. I have great students at my school. They know that one of my computers biffed it, and I had to get a new machine, the whole works. And so, but my old computer that biffed it last week had all my wonderful Dungeons and Dragons stickers on it. This is how I roll things, and so, but they also are stickers, and they don't come off all that easily. So one of my kids has already gotten me this new lovely little sticker. So it goes on the computer now. It's going right there right now. So I'll be doing that here. Apparently, I am a full board geek now because my students are buying me stickers for my computers. And I don't know that it's actually going to impact their marks, but I do not mind having the stickers all the same. Okay, here goes the sticker right there. Lovely. Okay, cool. So, back to trifunctional. Trying to join the stream. Trifunctional, I'm sorry, my stream decided to say it was not going to work. I'm going to keep on trying to get it to work, but oofta, it was unhappy with me. So I apologize for that. I'm still going to try and get in there again and see if I can solve the things. It's not happy, though. It's just not happy. Nonetheless, we got the monk subclass up on the screen in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There it is. Oh, and there's a follow from Conical Coffee. Good to see you, Conical Coffee. This might be a new person in our guild for that matter, too. So thank you for the follow, all of the appreciations. Where we're just diving into at the moment is having a look at this monk subclass. So I've never read this. I'm going to say this right now. So I guess what I should do is go into what happened in my Discord. Trifunctional posted this. Now, Trifunctional is actually a player in our Randy. No. He's in our Windy J Random Adventures game. They're not Randy games at all. They're not supposed to be anyway. But Windy J Random Adventures game. And so a couple of days ago, he wrote out that he's got this homebrew monk subclass based loosely on the Echo Knight. Created it for a campaign that he plays with his friends from his hometown. His brother's the DM. Might need to do some adjustments. As I understand it, it's also kind of been posted to a Facebook group for some feedback as well. So here we go. Let's have a look at this here monk subclass. It's the Way of the Radiant Body. When you take this monk tradition, you get the ability to create a radiant body in any unoccupied space you could move to this turn that you can see. So you have to be able to get there, and you need to be able to see it. Okay, cool. Good to know. If you're out of movement. Okay. As a bonus action, you may have your radiant body appear if you make a successful attack. So if you attack, then your radiant body could appear as a bonus action. Good. As a reaction, if you take damage, you may have your radiant body appear. So again, it almost feels like it might be like, I'm going to let this thing happen because of adrenaline. And I am watching the chat, guys, so feel free to throw in some of your own comments in here as you're going along. Having your radiant... Nope. Oh, yeah. Having your radiant body appear as a bonus action or reaction does not cost any key points, because I guess you're pulling it from your adrenaline as opposed to from your from your key, your connection to key. You may also, as an action, spend 1 key point to have your radiant body appear. When it appears, roll a hit die, which is a 1d8. Subtract that many hit points from your current HP, so it's going to suck some of the energy from you. Also subtract that hit die from your available hit dice. Means that you're basically reducing your pool of short rest dice, I guess, when you do that. Okay. The radiant body appears with that many hit points. Yeah, and I haven't read it yet, Coffee, so I'm going through it now. I am actually very intrigued by these mechanics. You cannot go unconscious, you cannot go unconscious from creating your radiant body. So if the amount is more than your current HP, you go to 1 hit point and subtract the difference from your radiant body's starting HP. Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense. So you don't go crazy. Okay, your radiant body appears as a magical, translucent, white image of you with 7 chakras appearing in various colors and locations on the body. Oh, there's a chart! Cool, I'll read that later. That lasts until it is destroyed. Until you dismiss it as a bonus action. Until you manifest another radiant body, or until you're incapacitated. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. You can only have 1. The same chakras appear on your body in the same colors and locations. Your radiant body interacts with creatures and objects, so it cannot go through walls, objects, or creatures. So it's not like it's a ghost. Cool. Your radiant body has AC equal to yours and immunity to all conditions. Immunity to all conditions. Okay. Huh. If it has to make a saving throw, it uses your saving throw for the bonus roll. If it is the same size. Does it mean it's a creature? Hang on. That's the question. Does your radiant body need to be a creature then? If it has to make a saving throw, it uses your saving throw bonus for the roll. Interesting. That's a question there I'm going to ask about. I have my own copy, so I'm not editing yours right now, Trifunctional. I made my own copy of this so that I could read it without interacting with your stuff and messing around with it. I'm going to mark this one here as I'm saying I'm wondering about this guy. Okay. It is the same size as you, and it occupies its space. On your turn, you can mentally command your radiant body to move up to your movement speed in any direction. No action required. It cannot naturally fly. Okay. If you spend movement to move your radiant body, subtract the amount spent from the total amount you would be allowed to move each turn. So you have to... So if this is you moving your radiant body physically, is that what that is? Because your radiant body can actually already move as it needs. If you spend movement to move your radiant body, I wonder why you would do that. Why would you do that, Trifunctional? Why would you spend movement to move your radiant body? I'm going to ask about this guy here too then. If your radiant body is ever more than your movement speed distance from you at the end of your turn, it is destroyed. Your radiant body cannot be healed. Okay. And then I'm reading all the way through it before I do anything with it, but I'm looking at those ones, and it might just be like semantics that helps me understand them a little bit better. So we'll come back and have a look at that in a couple. You can use your radiant body in the following ways. You can, as a bonus action, teleport, magically swapping places with it. Yeah, okay, that's cool. That makes sense. I get that Echo Knight thing. It costs you 15 feet of your movement. I'm wondering about this. I do appreciate the 1 key point, but I wonder why you chose 15 and not just simply saying half of your movement. You can make your radiant body throw itself in front of an attack directed at you before. So basically, this is just kind of blocking things or making things a little bit less difficult. Putting the radiant body as like an extra thing in the way, right? And Once to use Phoenix game. Attack roll that triggered the reaction is instead made against your radiant body. Once you use it, you can't use it again. Cool. Mind you, if it hits that radiant body, the radiant body might just disappear because it's only got hit dice of HP, so it doesn't last very much. When you take the attack action on your turn, any attack you make with that action can originate from your space or your radiant body space. You make this choice, so that's cool. Okay, so you can either attack or you can make your radiant body that's 30 feet away from you attack. When a creature that you can see within 5 feet of your radiant body moves at least 5 feet away from it, you can use your reaction to make an opportunity attack against that creature as if you were in your radiant body's space. So you are like super attuned to your radiant body in so much as you sense people trying to escape you from either your current location or your radiant body's location. Okay. That's an interesting feature and fun. Okay. When you use key features on your turn, any key feature you activate can originate from your space or radiant body space. You could do patient defense, but step of the wind, deflect missiles from your radiant body instead of you. Basically turning it into having 2 of you as long as your radiant body is up, with all 1d8 hit points. Okay. This does not apply to the empty body feature you obtain at level 18. Whoa. Empty body? Whoa. Okay, cool. But it does apply to flurry of blows, patient defense, step of the wind, deflect missiles. If you catch the missile, your ranged attack originates from you. If your radiant body catches the missile, your ranged attack originates from the radiant. Yeah, okay. So you can't. Yeah, you can't magically teleport an arrow from your radiant body to your body. That I get. I totally get that one. Okay, stunning strike. It works. Key empowered strikes. Diamond soul. Okay, your radiant body gains the benefits from the following non-key features: slow fall, evasion, unarmored movement. Unarmored movement improvement. I'm pretty certain when Wizards made that one that they purposefully expected people to trip up over their lips on that one. Okay, fine. Unarmored movement improvement. Whatever. Okay. You can now use up to 3 at 6th level. You can use 3 hit die to calculate your radiance body. Also, here's the question then: does this mean do all 3 deduct from your pool of hit die? That's the question that I'm gonna have there. Okay. Alrighty then. Your radiant body expends its life force. Oh, spiritual healing. Your radiant body expends its life force to heal a singer creature. Singer creature? Okay, they have to be a bard apparently. No, it's just that Windy J can't talk. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay, anyway. So it spends its life force to heal a single creature. If your radiant body is within melee distance of you or any creature you wish to heal, as a bonus action, you can spend 1 key point and have it reach out its hand and touch you or another creature. Hey, wonderful. Good to see you, Fonzie Toot. Fonzie Toot, what a great name. Thanks for joining us on the channel, Fonzie Toot. What you are seeing right now, for those of you who are just joining in, we are currently reviewing a homebrewed subclass for monks in the 5th edition /1 D&D of Dungeons and Dragons. And so what we're seeing right now, this is actually put out by Trifunctional, who's also in the chat right now. And I'm just kind of, this is my first read-through. I'm doing a first read-through through this. There's some really cool things in here that I can see for role play and flavor stuff. Could be a lot of fun. I'm looking at the 6th level right now on spiritual healing, where you can spend a key point and reach out your hand or the radiant body. No, hang on. It has to be the radiant body. Hang on. If a radiant body is within melee distance of you or any creature you wish to heal, As a bonus action, you can spend 1 ki point and have your radiant body reach out its hand and touch either you or that creature, healing you or it for twice the amount of hit dice spent, pardon me, when it was created. So 2d8 if it was created with 1 hit die, 4d8 if it was created with 2 hit dice, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Wow, that's a powerful heal. That's a big-ass heal. That's like... That's a potential... That's a range of 4 to 32 if it's a 15-pointer radiant body. Wow. The radiant body immediately dissipates upon healing you or any other creature with this bonus action. So this is the way. Wow, and it makes it rangy, makes healing rangy. Ooh. Okay, fine. A rangy heal. So monk. Yeah, okay. And monks don't do a ton of healing. So this kind of adds a little bit, and it has to call upon your own ki to do it. In a way, it's in a slightly roundabout way, but it does do it. I guess thematically, not mechanically. Mechanically speaking, this makes sense. However, thematically, where is it? Pardon me. Where is the creature? Where is the radiant body getting its energy from? Well, what is the radiant body's energy pool? Oh, what is the radiant body's energy pool that it uses for healing? Why can it heal more than its existence? This is not a thing that says you can't do this by any stretch. This is just if you're trying to, whenever I try to do subclasses, or whenever, actually it's not even me that usually does subclasses, it's my kid who is bloody brilliant at making subclasses for D&D. But when he goes through this stuff, the questions I usually ask him are not how does this work mechanically, because usually the mechanical stuff is pretty darn on. It's usually more along the lines of why does this happen? Why is it that there's 4d8 of healing from a radiant body that only has 2d8 of its own life, and maybe not even all of it, because it may have been hit by that point in time too, right? So why is it able to pull more energy than its existence, unless it's also maybe pulling it from you too? Yeah, that's what I was wondering. It was just to just say, okay, fine, all of the energy that I have left in my radiant body, I'm going to shove that into the creature that needs the healing. And if all I've got is 1 hit point left on that radiant body, then that's what I can do, because that's all of the energy pool that the radiant body has. So yeah, that might also weaken your layout here though too, and so that's the thing, is I don't want to make you change things that are going to say, or I don't want to suggest to you to change things that are just going to make it underpowered, because I don't know, thematically it might be overpowered, but mechanically it might be great. Tough to call. I would have to actually sit this beside a Echo Knight to see how that actually looks, I guess, to see how it compares. 11th level. You can now use up to 5 hit dice to calculate your radiant body. Okay, that makes sense. Cool, because it just kind of keeps going up and up. Healing Burst. Your radiant body expends its life force to heal any creatures of your choice within an area. As a bonus action, you can use 1 ki point to have your radiant body explode in a burst of awesomeness. I mean healing. That heals you and all creatures you choose within range. A cube with a 15-foot radius from the point where your radiant body was when this bonus action was activated. For an amount equal to the number of hit dice spent when the radiant body was created. 1d8 if 1 hit die was spent. Okay, cool. Interesting. This ability destroys the radiant body, which makes sense. Same kind of idea. I think the only thing actually, there's 2 tiny things in here. I'm curious, why a cube? I don't know many things that explode in square shapes. To its remaining HP divided by 2 rounded down. I might actually suggest instead, I'm going to put this on here as what I'm going to suggest. And I see if I can write it. Maybe because you're suggesting you're even going to change this too. So I hope you're willing to accept a couple of suggestions. Maybe instead of that, the remaining hit points, HP of the radiant body, heals um, heals the target creatures, all of those target creatures around you, using and you can designate how many HP each from the radiant body. I don't like how I'm wording this, but just go with it. From the radiant body's remaining pool of HP, each target gets. So, like, say for example, you have a radiant body that's got like 6 people around them. 3 of them are injured and friendly, and this one's really really injured though. So you can say my radiant body has 18 hit HP left. I'm going to shunt all 18 HP into that person. Ignore the other guys from the explosion. Which doesn't really change it too much from the original spiritual healing. Or you can use the healing burst and you can spread it out across everybody and pick and choose. I would suggest, however, I might actually throw this in here, all friendly. I'm going to put that in here. All friendly creatures. Because you don't want to heal enemies? Question mark. No, you know what? No, screw that. I like yours better. Don't do it. Don't do what I just said. I dislike it. If you decide that you because friendly and enemies can sometimes, that's not always a very jiffy marker dark line. It's a little bit of a thing. Yeah, I find if you just say a 15-foot radius, because when you say radius, you can't say radius and cube in the same sentence. It doesn't quite work. But you can say 15-foot radius, and then let the DM decide how that's going to play out, right? Or even let the players try to convince the DM to let it play out a specific way. It gives the player agency, gives the DM a bit of agency with it too, right? But I don't mind the idea of a pool of remaining hit points. I love these features, though. I really like this healing burst. I really like this spiritual healing. I feel like you might need to distribute this subclass with some specific music to go with it, perhaps, though. Spiritual healing. I love it. Okay. Cool. 17th level. Woo! There's a spirit bomb. I don't know what that means. I can't wait to find out. You can now use up your total number of available hit dice divided by 2. Rounded down up to 8d8 at level 17, 9d8 at level 18, 10d8 at level 20. Okay. To calculate your radiant body's HP and the amount of HP you lose upon creation. Y'all can make a beefy radiant body now. 80 hit points. Okay. Yeah, well, you're level 20, so I guess that makes sense. Spear Bomb. As a bonus action, you can use 1 key point to have your radiant body explode in a burst of radiant light, not dissimilar to the healing explosion thingy that you had up here, healing burst. This deals radiant damage to all creatures and objects you choose within range. Cube is 5-foot radius. Again, just the cube thing, I guess. I guess I'm picky about my... who knew that as a math teacher I would be picky about my shapes and the words radius? Whatever. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being that annoying semantics person. I'm not sorry. I am sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Anyway, for the cube with 5-foot radius from the point where your radiant body was when this bonus action was activated, for an amount equal to the number of hit dice spent when the radiant body was created. Okay, cool. If the radiant body happens to be surrounded by another creature when this ability is activated inside the mouth of a giant creature, the ability automatically critically hits. doubling the damage dealt. Makes sense. This ability uses your key save DC. Key save DC equals 8 plus your prof with your whiz. Yep, that makes sense. Already moved. Removed cube from next version already. Hey, where's my Twitch chat? Why is that not showing in my stream? I want that in my stream. Thank you very much. Like, why aren't you there? Let's get you back in there. Twitch chat, where are you? Why can I not do the seeing of you? Do I need to refresh you? I don't know where you are. There you are. Apparently I need to refresh you. Or did my Twitch just kind of decide it was going to say meh on that? Okay, so apologies, but my Twitch chat isn't showing up. I am doing a move over to Stream Elements from Streamlabs, so we'll see how that goes. My Stream Elements has already worked way better in here. Let's just kind of go for a quick little example in here. I can actually use my bot again. Yay! But it doesn't show up on the stream right now, so I don't know why none of the comments are showing up on the stream. But Trifunctional has been saying things like the cube thing was just for simplicity's sake. When using grid maps, I'm open to using a sphere instead. And then no worries, I already removed cube for my next version. Yeah, Coffee, I don't know that Twitch is actually having problems. I think this actually might have been something on my end. So I'm not going to blame Twitch this time because, like I said earlier on, the cameras just dipped out, and we actually had a couple of moments there where the whole stream dipped out, and I don't think the Twitch was doing everything it was supposed to be doing, so I don't know what happened, but hopefully it doesn't happen when we try to decide tomorrow whether or not Bob and Farr live. Okay, so back to my ADHD. Back to this subclass of monk. If the radiant body happens to be surrounded by... Okay, we already saw that, and all this stuff we saw. Okay, so, I wonder if you... Again, just because of what the thematic things, like back here, what's the radiant body's energy pool? What's the radiant body's energy pool? I wonder if it could be energy pool here to keep it thematically. Again, decisions, they're yours. This is your subclass, not mine. But if I were to make a recommendation or make a suggestion for you to consider, it would be, instead of equal to the number of hit dice spent, I would say, I would go, can I do this? How do I do this? I would change this and replace it perhaps with something, instead of number of hit dice space, number of HP remaining, so that it's still dealing with like the whole pool. Yeah, it's like you're predicting me, Trifunctional. I just saw that in there. With the Spirit Bomb, would you use a similar pool of remaining hit points? I like I said, this is a thought. If you're gonna go with the remaining pool of hit points for the other two, thematically it makes sense to carry on with it here on Spirit Bomb, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it makes mechanical sense. And so it really is. It's your subclass, so you get to decide. But does this turn Spirit Bomb into something that is weaker than other 17th features you would get with like Echo Knight or the other monk subclasses? Because if it makes it weaker than those other ones, then nobody's going to want to play Radiant Body. But if the thing that I like about the idea of the hit points pool is now you have to start making decisions mid-combat as to when you're going to take advantage of your Spirit Bomb. Are you going to use your Spirit Bomb when it's at 80 hit point, when your Radiant Body is at 80 hit points? If your Radiant Body keeps on getting hit, are you going to use your Spirit Bomb on just like when it's only got 5 hit points left? It means that the players have to be really a little bit more active about their decision making about that, as opposed to, I just know my Radiant Body is always going to cause this much damage. Sometimes that's a good thing. Just, I know it's going to cause this much damage. But the hit points pool adds that extra layer of intrigue to the combat that I assume the Spirit Bomb is in the middle of. I guess it kind of depends on you. Are you the kind of person who just wants to kind of min-max and let the combats be the things that drive everything? Or are you a role-play person? Personally, I'm role-play. I want to do anything that's going to make every situation different and unique and fun. So I like the hit points pool idea. But that might not be for everybody. Do, 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 do. Okay, the crown chakra. Look at all these beautiful. Oh, look at those. Did you draw those, or did you like on a computer trifunctional? Did you design those suckers? I want to know. You designed those suckers. I bet you. Okay. Um, this is very much like Deathly Hollows look here on that one. Um, I got them from Wiki. Oh, well, you know what? I think they are a perfect fit. I really like this one. Yeah, I think those are a perfect fit. I like that. Okay, cool. So, overall first impressions. Man, do I like this subclass. I mean, I have these little comments here. Okay. Oh, right. I was going to go all the way back here. If it has to make a saving throw, it uses your saving throw. This makes me think that it can move of its own volition. If something can make a saving throw, like a dexterity saving throw or a strength saving throw or even a con saving throw, it makes me feel like as soon as something has the ability to do a saving throw, it can move of its own volition. And so I wonder if that's what you want to have happen. Do you want this radiant body to be able to think for itself or react for itself? If that's the case, keep that in. If you don't want that, then that might be an OP thing. Or an unnecessary thing, because it like thematically doesn't make sense. If it's not going to be able to think for itself. I get the sense. Hang on, that's not true. You can teleport. I get the sense that you're the one making all of the decisions for the radiant body. But I also get the sense that this radiant body is going to be in combat. I thought it is an extension of the monk, so the monk can use a saving throw to save the radiant body. Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. Because combat-wise, it does. If it's connected to you, you might be able to do that. I almost feel like I would want to suggest a Wizards of the Coast spin on things. Wizards of the Coast for like the beast spirits or the spirit, actually though, like the wildfire spirit is a really good example. They could have Wizard of the Coast could have said that wildfire spirit has all of its saving throws related to you, but it decided, nah, this is a different thing. It should have its own saving throw stats. Also made wildfire spirit's stat block. I wonder if it is worthwhile doing that. That's a big job, though. That is a big thing for me to suggest. That would be like, I have to now create a radiant body stat block that levels up at these different levels and so on and so forth, like the proficiency bonus things that they use for the wildfire spirit, or for some of those beasts for the rangers. I don't know. I want to recommend that. I think I'm going to pull myself away from recommending that. I can see value in doing it, but I don't know that that's actually what you want to do. So I'm going to leave that alone, because that would be like rewriting a lot of this, and that's not what I meant to do when I opened this up. Okay. It can naturally fly and would need. If you spend movement to move your radiant body, subtract the amount of spent from the total amount you would be allowed to move each turn. So you're either moving yourself or you're moving your radiant body, is what it's saying. Your radiant body can go all 30 feet, but if that happens, you don't get to move. That's what I think that means. Is that really what you mean there? And I guess I have to wait because yeah, okay. Interesting. So no matter what, your movement is being sacrificed by having a radiant body. But the reason why that makes sense thematically to this line here is because it is so deeply connected to you, and it allows you. With this as it is, plus this, makes sense to me. If you take one out, then you'd have to make big changes to the others as well, I think. Mechanically speaking, of course. So now I understand those guys a little bit better. I think I'm just gonna go like that and say, yay, that makes sense. Okay, this was the other one. As a bonus action, you can teleport, magically swapping places with your radiant body at a cost of 15 feet. Why 15 feet? I'm gonna ask that one. Why 15 feet and not just half of your movement? Oh, really? It came from Echo Knight? Echo Knight said 15 feet? What if you're a halfling? What if you or like a hill dwarf, not a hill dwarf, or like a rock dwarf. I can't remember what the subclass names are escaping, or subrace names are escaping me. What if you only have 25 feet of movement? Yeah, I wonder why they chose 15 feet. That seems oddly specific for even Wizards of the Coast. I wonder about that one. I'd say I would say that there is Oh, mind you. Oh, here's the reason why you might actually want to keep 15 feet of movement. It's a friggin' monk, and they can go, like they can run. If you get like there's some abilities there that you can take advantage of. So maybe only 15 feet, so you can still have all those abilities, is not a bad idea. But at the same time, I feel like 15 feet, when somebody says 15 feet, what they really mean is like half your movement. Oh, East Budget, that's what you're thinking. Okay. Well, then leave it alone. Okay, cool. Because, monks are hyperactive little creatures. Okay, cool. Dude, I really like this subclass. I really like this subclass. And whether or not you do this whole hit point pool idea or not, it's still a really great subclass. And there's some really great role play opportunities inside here. So on that note, I'm going to put this out to you, Trifunctional. We're doing our WinDJ random adventures. What are you playing again? I forgot what you're playing. I can look this up. I'm smart. I know how to look these things up. You're just going to tell me though, aren't you? You're just going to tell me. So, for those of you who are just watching in, one of the things that we usually do on Thursday mornings couldn't happen this week because, life happens for some people. Not me, I don't have one of those. But, Known Cleric. Oh, you're playing a Known Cleric? I'm curious to see what... Okay, so who are playing monks? I believe in this one, Sapley is not a monk. I think if Dak were to ever play a monk again, it would scare the crap out of him. That's a wizard, so Professor Shamil Rundar. I think this is actually Caffeine's, and Caffeine is not going to be able to join us this time around. So yeah, no, that's Caffeine's. We're not going to have that one, unfortunately. So who are Tana? Is that who the other one is? As a monk. But she's a ghost-wise halfling. Astral self monk. Okay, so I'll put this. Who is this person? I'm going to put this out to Seraph. So, Seraph, if you happen to be in the chat, you're going to get this question right now. But I'm going to put this out to Seraph with your consent first, Trifunctional. I will not do this without your consent. How open are you to playing, to allowing Seraph to play instead of as a, what did I say again? A astral self monk, trying out the radiant body monk and seeing how that fits in at level. It would be a level 4 monk, so it would only get the radiant body and do these other things with it. So it'd be a little itty bitty guy, but you could see what it's like at low levels if Seraph is willing to try it. If Seraph doesn't want to, we'll say, of course, it's your choice. Who's the Thar is? Oh, Anita. Is Anita a monk as well? I think Anita. No, she's a cleric. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's yours. You're Anita. Okay, fair enough. So Anita, Tana, Thar, and Shamil are in here. So hey, Coffee. I'm going to throw this out to you. We do games on Thursday mornings for Random Adventures, and it's just a short commitment too. It's just like, and anybody else in the chat who decides that this is something you actually really, really want to do, I'm in. The way this works is I rolled out to see what campaign we're doing, and so we're doing a thing called the Elven Gate, which actually came out perfectly in time for us to do. It came out of the Roll20 Con 2022 free resources through Roll20. So we're trying that out. It was published by Kobold Press for us. And currently we have one spot available in that game if you wanted to. So even if the other players don't want to try out the Radiant Body Monk, then that's fine. Maybe somebody else wants to jump in. I don't mind having like a gazillion monks in the campaign. It could just be part of the theme. But it's... this one makes you guys, it gives you guys a Healy monk too, which is kind of nice. So if it's something that you're open to trying, I'll put it out to Seraph as well. And yeah, that there is the monk. Okay, so I have something else that's come up on my list of things that I have to examine, and so I'm going to ask for chat's help. So chat, let's talk Genasi. And I've only got 2 of them up here right now because I feel like I'm not going to be able to go through everything, but I think this is going to give them, and honestly, I didn't save it all. So it's my own dang fault. But I have a situation where I'm seeing more and more spaces for Genasi in my own homebrew. And I don't know... Genasi, I don't know why I have this hesitation around Genasi. It's an unreasonable and irrational hesitation around Genasi. But I was sent this, it was a realization that the original Genasi that everybody seems to be so quickly pulled towards have been completely rebrewed in the Mordenkainen Monsters of the Multiverse book that came out earlier this year. I feel trifunctional. You're open to trying it as well. I think I want the person who didn't create it to see to try it out, so that the person who did create it can see it in action from a different viewpoint. That's kind of what I want to try out. So, and as a DM, I want to be able to see it in action too, so I can give some feedback and maybe, then you can really see like that's a proper test play. Let somebody else do your stuff that you create and see if it works. And then you can say that you've been test played. Air, Earth, Fryward. Okay, so they changed the Genasi, and they're not insignificant changes either. So looking at this guy here, so this is the original one from Elemental Evil, which has always irritated me. It was never actually eventually ported into Roll20 at all. But your con score increases, your intelligence score increases. Now you go down to Mordenkainen's monsters, and increase one score by 2 and increase a different score by 1, or increase 3 different scores by 1, just not above 20. Okay, I get this. Wizards is trying to make everything much more versatile. Okay, I get that. That one I can get behind. That makes sense. But then we have, and then the age, that's already in there. Alignment, independent, self-reliant. This is, in this particular, I'm dealing with, I think this is the Fire Genasi. Yep, Fire Genasi. So, independent, self-reliant, they kind of tend to be neutral. Is that true in Mordenkainen's? They didn't actually even say. They didn't even bother with the alignment, because why would we pigeonhole you into one type of alignment? Okay, again, that makes sense to get rid of. The size, your base speed. Okay, here's where I start to see some of the big changes. A Fire Genasi gets dim light, gets dark vision in the Elemental Evil. They still have it in Mordenkainen's. Okay, so that's good. But now we get to the fire resistance. I'm sorry, I'm not doing this side by side. I should have done this side by side. Fire resistance. Okay, here's the big change. In Reach to the Blaze, you know the Produce Flame. Starting at 3rd level, you can get Burning Hands. And starting at 5th level, you can also class Flame Blade. So here's the thing I have as a... I would defo bonk people. It's super cool sounding. Anyway, so back to this. Here's the thing with races. When a race is created, I always think of races as DNA driven. That any of the features they have should actually come from DNA or from um, obvious background because the race is almost xenophobic and insular or something like that. But so the idea of putting languages in with races bothers me just a little bit. You don't innately know how to speak Elvish. You don't innately know how to speak Common, and in the real world, you don't innately know how to speak in English or how to read in English. That's not something that's part of your coded into your DNA. So I've never liked languages being included in racial features. Um, what's included in your DNA is knowing how to pee, poop, and cry, and that's about it. So unless the language is I can speak like a baby, I don't know that I wanted to put languages into my decision making with races. But then we get to things like you get spells at specific levels. How do you get these spells? What in your DNA makes this happen? Is it puberty that allows you to suddenly be able to produce flame? And therefore, if it's puberty, why would you put it to a level? Um, if is it second puberty that allows you to suddenly be able to do burning hands? Is it menopause that allows you to do flame blade? What is it about your DNA allows you to do these things? And so when I'm asked which Genasi should I do, I'm hesitant to pick. This is one reason why I don't like why I'm challenged by. I shouldn't say I don't like them because I actually do like them. I love playing them, but I'm challenged as a DM by races that have things that should be learnt, not inherited by genetic pools. Um, so I'm not a fan of this version of the Genasi because it just fucking your DNA. This old reach to the blaze, the produce flame cantrip, that's part of your DNA. You were born with this ability. You hit D&D's version of puberty, and then you can cast Burning Hands. Um, and then Constitution is your spellcasting ability for these spells. Um, Now, I guess back down here with the Mordenkainen's options, Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma is spelling. Charisma is your spellcasting ability. When you cast them, you choose this when you select the race. So you get to choose whether or not you're going to use your big brain, your big eyes, or your big heart to do this. I'm not a fan of that. So if it came right down to it, for the Fire Genasi, if I was ever asked which one I would allow into my world, I find the elemental evil version of it here to be far more racial as opposed to class based, and therefore I would actually probably say this guy. But I also, I don't know if you can see, I've got this disgust feel to it because there's an awful lot of the stuff that Wizard of the Coasts is putting out that I like and wouldn't mind keeping, but apparently this Fire Genasi just isn't it. Just isn't it. Um, I'm going to look at water next too. So water's down here. Here we go. Let's go a bit further and see if it's the same kind of idea. So old version. I am going to put this side by side. Can I do that easily here? Because otherwise this is just going to drive everybody bonkers to watch me try to do this. Yeah, let's go. We're going to go and insert a table. Watch me, learn how to use Google Docs. Ding. Okay, so let's copy all this down and let's do a proper side-by-side comparison. Yeah, languages as a race. I can actually understand using primordial, perhaps, as a standard thing because just because of the connection to the worlds. For me, it's less of a DNA, more like using the powers of the elemental that lays within the Genasi, and as they get stronger, the spirit also gets stronger. That puts a lot of stock in that elemental, in that element. Whereas if you actually, now I guess, okay. Running with this just a little bit. Running with this. I'll come back to that in a second because that is a very valid point there, Coffee. I'm just going to still put these side by side so we can actually read them properly. Okay, cool. So, okay, so let's go into what a genasi actually is then, because that's kind of what you're going to is when you say that that it's more about the element energy that's in them. You're going right down to the core of what a genasi actually is. They are offspring of genies and mortals. That's what it says right here. That's from Elemental Evil. Genasi are one such people, the offspring of genies and mortals. That's Elemental Evil's version of things. Now, if we go to Mordenkainen's version of things, let's see here. Tracing their ancestry to the genies of the elemental planes, each genasi can tap into the power of one of these elements: air, earth, fire, and water. Some genasi are direct descendants of a genie, while others were born to non-genasi parents who lived near a place suffused by a genie's magic. So this is where things get challenging, because if you stick to elemental evil, it is DNA. That's what elemental evil says. If you don't, and you just say, oh, by the way, you happen to be beside a volcano for too long, therefore you're now actually all influenced by the fire element, now you're getting into what Coffee is saying. Now you're saying that genasi could be that way. So I guess maybe that's... That's the DM decision, then, isn't it? Okay. I like where you're coming from with this, Coffee, because now we can actually use both, and it means I get to use both. Yay! Okay, so what that means then is, as a DM, I might be okay. So tell me, where is your connection to your element? Yeah, and so yeah, where is your connection to your element? If you're in summary, kiddos, both points are valid. If your connection to your element is because your mom did it with an air genasi, then apparently it should be DNA based. Go with the elemental evil version of things. But if you are living amongst cloud giants and being up in the air as much as you are, you start bringing in the air element into your very being at birth. It's not from genasi DNA, it's from the element itself. Go Mordenkainen's. I don't know that I have ever done something where there is a thematic lore reason for choosing one source book over another. And I'm oddly and excitedly... Well, I know. I'm just gonna. That's what I'm gonna do. Probably. Let's have a look. See. Let's have a look at water and see if it still makes sense to do so, because I really like this idea of just saying, okay, if DNA, yes, exposure to the elements, this one, I'm okay with this. Okay, so this left here, this is the elemental evil one. So genasi mature, you're humanoid. Again, it's instead of wisdom by one, you're going to be able to do you're going to be able to do a bunch. So interesting, because that's a good point, because with fire genasi you could do a bunch. Why is it that water genasi are so weak in comparison? Yeah, I'm okay with that realignment of that. Nothing else there seems to be unusual. In the element, in the Mordenkainen version, you could have a water birth, slight chance water baby. Or if you're born legit in the eye of the storm, you could be more like an air genasi. I'm totally with you on those. If you were born in the same tornado that Dorothy was flying around in, then you should probably be an air genasi, because that shit's fucked up. But you, and then fire genasi, you live nearby a volcano or in a lava encased chasm or something to that effect. Not just because you're surrounded by forges, but you actually have to be by the original elements, I think. And then, what was the other one? Rock, yeah, Earth Genasi. How? Ooh. You actually have to be connected to some sort of elemental component of like lava, because it's not just fire, it is also earth. You could also argue that one, but you're maybe even more likely that Earth Genasi happened to come from the Underdark. Very distinct possibility. Okay, cool. So, dark vision in Mordenkainen's, but not through DNA. But dark vision would definitely be a DNA trait. So insert question mark here. Why wasn't dark vision included in the elemental evil? Why would a water genasi have dark vision? I guess there is the presumption that water genasi need to be able to see in the dark because there's no necessary light sources in water. Depends on how deep you are. I'm I'm curious about that one. I don't know why. Maybe they just put dark vision for all genasi. I have to go back and look at that. I don't have that with me. Acid resistance still makes sense. Call to the okay. Here's one that's different. So, yeah. Okay, so with dark vision, this is what they did. They actually replaced. They replaced the amphibiousness with dark vision. Interesting. Both of those could be DNA based. So what I might do for my players with water genasi is say you get to choose either amphibiousness or dark vision based off of your background and just make it connect to that, right? Acid resistance, call to the wave. Here's the big change. This is the one that made me start asking these questions about these two in the first place, because I looked at the call to the wave and I thought, well, now ain't that just a little bit of a different one? And I wasn't convinced. I liked it. Let me try and get this lined up, shall we? There we go. Okay, so call to the wave. So first of all, in the elemental evil, it was you DNA knew shape water, and when you hit D&D's version of puberty, you can also create or destroy water. But in Mordenkainen's, you're not doing shape water, you're doing acid splash. And I can already tell you that I'm not sure. There has to be a thematic reason why it's acid splash or instead of shape water. I might actually give the choice there as well. You can either choose shape water or you could choose acid splash. I think most people are probably going to choose acid splash in the end because combat, and they're always combat thinking. But the shape water cantrip has some pretty cool features about it too. So let me just pull up shape water here. No, that's not the right place to look. Let's go here. Shape water. Okay, with shaping water. So with the shape water, you could choose an area, instantly move or change the flow of the water. You can cause the water to form into simple shapes. You could change the water's color and opacity. You could freeze it, provided that there's no creatures in it. Like roleplay wise, shape water makes a heck of a lot of sense. Acid splash is just damage. That's all it's good for. I feel like I'm not a fan of switching that for the acid splash, but that's just a me thing, and I kind of like giving my players agency. So I think what I will do is I would give somebody who wants to do water genasi. Man, that means I have to do in homebrew on everything or be like rules specific on everything. You get to choose between shape water or acid splash, and then if you are as Coffee has suggested, just exposed at birth kind of thing, or at conception. Ooh, exposed at conception. Anyway, if you're exposed at the time of creation to an element, then maybe this is the one you get instead, with some minor caveats. The caveats being for water genasi, you choose either dark vision or amphibiousness, and you choose either acid splash or shape water. That's not bad. Those are simple caveats. I'm okay with that. I feel like like if I'm gonna give a language as a racial thing for genasi, primordial makes sense. Yeah, I mean, exactly. It does relate to the element. I get it, and I get why it also kind of explains why they would have acid resistance. I'm also kind of, it was in both, but I don't know. I'm thinking there's an awful lot of indicator species that exist in the water, in oceans, that will die off if the pH of the ocean is off, and so that makes me wonder why. Like why? But hey, whatever. If they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it. So away they go. Um, yeah, I think that's probably the decision on that one. So, you know what? I'm glad I did that. Thanks, Coffee, because it actually makes a huge difference as to how I'm going to look at these things. Um, and I feel like it makes a lot more sense to do this. So, yay! Okay, so I now have people I have to chat with about that because they were talking to me about Genasi's and things like that. Okie dokie then. So, looking at my list of things that I was going to talk about, I don't remember them all. Let's see here. So weird that my stuff isn't working. That bothers me. Just only completely. Um, let's go to the list. So I think actually it's pretty good. I've always thought water genasi should have frost resistance because, like, the deeper you go, the colder it gets, and it's the opposite of the fire. Yeah, yeah, I can argue. I can see that. I can also see yeah, like I think they were just trying to look for a resistance. So frost, like cold resistance, would have been a good one. But I think they give the cold resistance to air genasi. I can't remember exactly. Um, it was something along those lines. Uh, all right. Okay, I was going to look up. So we talked about criticals today and seeing what we could do about what they called crunchy crits kind of thing. Roll one and then add the max damage on the other dice kind of thing. So I get to post that into the Discord saying we are going to shift ourselves to crunchy crits, as Carney has called it. And we've had a look at a really awesome monk subclass today, which I'm excited about for. And we've also talked about Genasi and how I am going to work with those in my own homebrew setting. Now, just because I went over it that way and said this is what I saw, doesn't necessarily mean that that's how you guys would do that in your own worlds. But what it does, I hope what it does is help you think a little bit about why things happen inside your worlds, because um, it shouldn't just be because Wizards of the Ghosts said so, or Wizards of the Ghosts. Happy Halloween. No, Wizards of the Coast. It shouldn't be just because they said so. It should be, um, yeah, they gave lighting to Air Genasi. And, oh, yeah, they did, totally. Anyway, so I guess that's kind of where I'm going to probably call her for the day, because that was a good chunk of stuff covered in my lovely little fireside chat that had Twitch kind of dip out on me. But there was a lot in here, and I appreciate all of you guys being in the chat and helping me out with some of this stuff, and showing me new subclasses that you guys are creating. The next time we have a By the Fire is unplanned. I won't have another one of these on purpose. I will have one of these when one of our sessions has to be canceled for whatever reason that may be. So that's when we have these things. So I'll be keeping track of a whole bunch of different things we can be talking about. I may actually pull up some subclasses that my own kid has put together and get you guys to put some feedback into it as well. But we are going to keep on going with our regular schedule. So tomorrow is the Olivon Chronicles, where we find out if Bob Moss and Frar the Red are going to be able to be revived. Are they going to stay dead? And then what happens after that? We're also going to see on Tuesday next week, Wild Beyond Witchlight. I expect that we're going to have new players in there, potentially Coffee for that matter. And it might be as early as next week. Hopefully, it will be. And then we'll be starting off with our Wendy J Random Adventures again on Thursday next week, launching into the Elven Gate. Must not forget that Vayrod, that's not his name, Varad, is running his Pathfinder game, Pathfinder Second Edition game, of Legend of Zelda Echoes, and that'll be at 11 p.m. GM time on Wednesday next week. They kind of go every other week, and there is also another campaign that's going to be starting up soon as well. That is run by DM Caffeine, sometimes known as Caffeinated Arcade. and she is going to start off. This is actually Caffeine is the one that Dak was talking about earlier on in this stream today. Played a game with her and apparently peed himself laughing. So looking forward to see what Caffeine puts together. Caffeine is our little chaos monkey in both the Witchlight and the Olivos campaigns. So it's not going to be a surprise to see a little bit of shenaniganry at her table when she starts up something called Adventures in Alain, which is her own homebrewed setting as well. So it's a lot of homebrew kicking around here right now, and I'm here for it. Those of you who follow what goes on in the guild as well, I will have my in real life players doing a Halloween one shot. I'm not streaming it, frankly, because we're all teachers and we don't want the students to see it. But it's yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. I will give a little hint to you. The content that I'm doing with them does come out of Adventures League season number 8, so I'm kind of excited for how that's going to turn out. And then last but not least, another shout out to all of our DMs. I'll see if I can actually get them all in here. Let's see here. Let's shout out to Verod. Okay, we'll shout out to Caffeinated Arcade as well. Although I believe she does most of her stuff on YouTube, that doesn't mean we can't give her a shout out. And Dutch Dungeons as well, and particularly Dutch Dungeons because they have been nominated for a streamer award in a Dutch streamer award. So if you want to be able to vote for him, please jump into the Discord actually to go find that link. And of course, do jump into the Discord. It is right there in the chat for you. You can jump in and join us at any time. Maybe save yourself up for a random adventure when it pops up. And keep in touch with all of the players and all of the crazy things that we discuss, including, what was the craziest one? The most recent crazy thing that came out of here was, actually I think it might have actually been that monk subclass, but we've had some really interesting things come through here as well. So shout out to you guys. Thank you guys very much. Don't forget to subscribe. And thanks for going through all the advertisements too. All of that helps to pay for my habit so that I can keep kind of doing this and bring it to some more people. That's it. Thank you guys very much. Peace out.